How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Strictly Nintendo. Now, before the first episode drops, I wanted to take the time to share with you a brief history of myself as a gamer and why I decided to do a Nintendo-specific channel. Now, if you want to know more about what this channel is all about, click this link here to check that out. But for now, we're going to get right into it. Now, in 1988, much to the approval and then subsequent regret of my mother due to the fact of how much he played it, my father bought our family a Nintendo Entertainment System. In fact, it was this one right here. And that's right, I still got it, still game it, still love it. Don't judge it just because it's missing its door, alright? Now, this was revolutionary because beforehand, it was all about how many quarters we could get from Mom to play the arcade at Showbiz and the Dollar Theater, and now we had the arcade and more in our living room. And this had a lot of games to offer, and it had a lot of different ways to interact with those games with the various controllers that it supported. Now, of course, there's a ton of games that this console had, so, it'd be a long video to go through all of them, but to put a tiny scratch in the surface of the games that this had, some of the games that I really enjoyed were the original Super Mario Brothers. It's a classic. RC Pro-Am. I love race car games. Excite Bike, I loved making my own tracks with this game. A cool little puzzle RPG game called Solstice. And then one of my favorite RPGs of all time, Dragon Warrior. And then Nintendo released the Super NES. And that's right, I still got it, still game it, still love it. I don't get rid of my consoles, they mean a lot to me. And this was everything that we loved about the NES and more. You had better graphics, better sound quality, the first 4-action button controller with bumpers, so you could do more with your character, and it really enhanced your gaming experience. Again, there was a ton of games for this console, and I can't go over every one of them that I really liked, but just a handful, just scratching that surface just a tiny bit. Donkey Kong Country, gotta love that game. F-Zero, who doesn't love this game? Star Fox, another classic. Top Gear, I love my race car games. And then there was a game that was really more of an application, and it was kind of a unique experience, which, I had a lot of fun with. Some of y'all might remember it, some of y'all might think it's a little goofy, but Mario Paint. Now, I am a graphics designer. I do web design, I do video work, obviously, and I do some 3D work, as you can see with the Strictly Ninty logo. Now, this was an experience where I spent a lot of time, just messing around with it and doing some animation. And, just spent a lot of time really developing, and experimenting and creativity. And that really cultivated my love for graphics design. So that's why it was just a unique and really fun experience for me. Now, the NES and the Super NES became my consoles when my dad stopped gaming and my brother got his own. Now, my brother and I split up the game, so he has half of them, I have the rest of them, but I got some coming on the way back for some future reviews, so keep an eye out for that. And that's why I'm not going over every game that I like here, because I want some surprises down the road for you. And of course, next was the N64. And surprise, still got it, still game it, still love it, and have the expansion pack for it. Now, the cool thing about this was the first time the console was specifically mine. While it did stay in the living room so that friends and family can enjoy it, it was mine. And now that I was old enough to have a job, I had the money and the incentive to invest in the games that I wanted to play and make gaming a bigger part of my life. Some of the games that I really enjoyed on this system was Top Gear Rally. I have the steering wheel and pedal system over there for it. Winback, a great third-person shooter. Cool sports games like Mario Golf and 1080 Snowboard. Who doesn't love that? And of course, there was Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, unique games like Turok. I love the second one the best. It had a great storyline in it. Arcade-style games like Rampage. I love horror games, so Nightmare Creatures. And then you had the games that really defined this console and were revolutionary. It had a big impact, and there was Super Mario 64, it wasn't just about bringing Mario to the 3D world, but enhancing gameplay and gameplay mechanics and all the different actions you could do with him. There was GoldenEye. This revolutionized first-person shooters by mainstreaming that genre. And then there was the game that solidified me as a gamer, that made the biggest impact of all. And it's my favorite game to this date, and it's my favorite game in the series to this date, and that is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It wasn't just about the improved graphics, the improved sound, the bigger world, the 3D environment, or the fact that you didn't have to go to the next part of the storyline. You could go fishing, or kind of, as almost semi-open world. The biggest thing about this was the storyline. It was so immersive and such a beautiful storyline. It's hard for me to put in words just how much this game means to me. But this, if it wasn't for this game, gaming definitely wouldn't be as big a part of my life as it is today. So Ocarina of Time is hands down one of the best games, if not the best game ever made, in my opinion. Now, during the Gamecube era, I was actually playing the Xbox, the PS2, the Dreamcast, and PC games. I've been playing PC games since the early to mid-90s, ever since my family got our first computer. I just built a brand new gaming computer. I have a Steam account, I'm enjoying plenty of indie games, and I'm looking forward to a AAA game from Ubisoft later on this year. And you might say, well, if you enjoy gaming in general, why a Nintendo-specific channel? Now, I'll get into that at the end of this video, but I wanted to take this time to talk about the motto of this channel. And that is that gaming is, always has been, and should always be first and foremost about fun. I don't believe in the console wars. I think that that's just marketing and media garbage to hype up controversy for whatever agenda that they have. And you might say, well, dude, if they have an agenda, clearly you do too. And that's correct. I have a two-part agenda. The first one goes back to the motto. Gaming is, always has been, and should always be first and foremost about fun. If you're not having fun, you're not gaming. It's not your job to validate anybody else's choices, and it's nobody else's job to validate your choices. Play the games that you want to play, that you enjoy, on the systems that you enjoy, and share those experiences with others. But don't bash other people because their opinion is different. That's just not right, and it doesn't do any good for the industry as a whole. So that's part one of my agenda. The second part of my agenda is to pay respects to Nintendo because they've been a big part of my life, and for various other reasons that I'll get into at the end of this video. But remember, have fun with gaming. Don't worry about other people, and don't trash other people. Enjoy games. Share the experience. Now, after the GameCube, Nintendo released the Wii, and this is the console that brought me back to Nintendo, and for many reasons. One, I missed Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and all the unique experiences that only Nintendo can offer. Secondly, it's backwards compatible with the GameCube, so now I can enjoy those experiences that I missed during that era. And then there was how they changed how we interact with our games by bringing the only successful offering in motion controls. Now, did it work for every game? No. With Black Ops, I much preferred the classic controller, and there were definitely games that could have benefited from the motion controls, but, the developers didn't map it right, they didn't tweak it right, it fell flat. However, when playing games like The Force Unleashed, and this is your lightsaber, and this is your force powers, that was pretty cool. When playing games like Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and you actually had to physically do the Kamehameha wave to do the Kamehameha wave, that was really cool. No longer were you just sitting there on the couch playing like this. You were standing up in your living room. You were moving around. It changed your perspective on gaming, and it made you more a part of the game, and I really enjoyed that. Some of the games that I thoroughly enjoyed on the Wii was The Conduit, great sci-fi shooter. I played online with my brother quite a bit. There was Destroy All Humans. This is absolutely a hilarious game. Of course, Mario Kart Wii, and I think out of my friends and family, I was the only one who actually got the whole steering wheel thing down, and I enjoyed that a lot. Of course, there was Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, need I say more? There was Animal Crossing City Folk. This is the first Animal Crossing game I played, and, it was a really interesting experience. Playing online, and my brother lives in another state, so playing online and, visiting each other's town, searching for fossils, getting bugs, fishing, and talking over Wii Speak, instead of like sitting on the couch talking on a phone, it was like we were actually hanging out. And I really enjoyed the game for that aspect. And there was the second favorite Zelda game of mine, Twilight Princess. I know this was a GameCube game originally, but I didn't experience it on that console, and I'm glad I got to experience it on the Wii. I really like this game. And then there was a game that I think was highly underappreciated. That's Metroid Other M. The graphics and the sound were great. The storyline was good. The third-person aspect and switching to the first-person aspect, I really enjoyed. The differences of playing with the controller like this and then switching to like the light gun style for the first-person aspect. I just enjoyed the game and felt that it was underappreciated. But here's another thing about Nintendo and why I like them, and what the Wii did for me is remind me of the value that Nintendo builds into their systems. You had all the physical Wii games, all the physical GameCube games, you had the virtual console games and the WiiWare games. And between all those formats, I had over 40 games for the Wii, and this is where that becomes a really cool aspect. And that's because in 2012, Nintendo released the Wii U, and now we get to enjoy everything we love about Nintendo, but in HD. Now I have a DSi XL that I keep at work, and I play during lunch breaks to break up the monotony of the day. So I'm very comfortable with the asymmetric dual-screen touchscreen aspect of that system, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So when I was watching the E3 conference on the Nintendo channel on my Wii and I saw what the Wii U was all about, I got excited because I saw a lot of potential in this system. Of course, the centerpiece of the Wii U is the gamepad. It's not just your controller, but it's your secondary display, and this is also your interactive touchscreen. There is the Pro Controller if you want more of that classic experience, but there's a lot of potential and creativity that developers can really tap into to enhance gameplay mechanics, and how you interact with the games to really give unique experiences. And there's some good examples of it, but they're just scratching the surface. Now, some of the games that I have for the Wii U include Nintendo Land. It's a great multiplayer game for when you have friends or family over. You have Most Wanted You, Solid Racer, Assassin's Creed 3, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition. Really good gamepad features in that. Check out that review. One of my favorite games, Lego City Undercover, is absolutely hilarious. There's a ton to do. I have over 80 hours in this game, and there's some good gamepad features in this game as well. Super Mario 3D World brings nostalgic Mario to the 3D environment. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, beautiful graphics, amazing soundtrack, and very challenging. Definitely should be in your Wii U library. Zombie U. I think that this is underappreciated. I think Ubisoft did a great job, and there's some solid gamepad features in this. Check out that review. The Sleeper, Pikmin 3. This was a surprise. Keep an eye out. Expect a review early on. I'll just say that. And then one of my favorite, if not my favorite Wii U title currently, and one of my favorite in the series, we will be discussing this in a review in length because of some controversy and other things about this game, but Ubisoft did a great job with it. Splinter Cell Blacklist. I really think that this is a must-own. Check out that review. And what's more with the Wii U is it's backwards compatible. Not only do you have all the great games that the Wii U has to offer, and all the indie games and virtual console games that are currently on the Wii U, you have all your WiiWare, all your virtual console games from your Wii. There's actually a transfer tool to transfer all those games plus your save data over to the Wii U because it has the Wii OS in it. And then you have all your physical games from the Wii. So between Wii U games, indie games, virtual console games, WiiWare games, and Wii games, I haven't had the Wii U for a year yet, and I've got over 60 games for this. I think that's a ton of value right out of the box. And there's even more games coming. There's a bunch of great games already from first, second, third, and indie developers. There's a slew of indie developers bringing even more unique experiences to the Wii U. There's a lot of great third-party and a ton of great first and second-party games coming to the Wii U this year. And, 2013 started to pick up, but 2014 is going to be the year. We got a ton of great games, and you can expect a lot of great reviews on those games. If you own a Wii, if you're a Nintendo fan, you should definitely have a Wii U. It pays for itself right out of the box because you get to carry everything over, and then you get to bring in new experiences. The support for indie developers is amazing, and indie developers are the future, and there's a ton of applications on this as well that just enhances the usage of this system. And plus, you have support for not only the gamepad and the Pro controller, but the classic controller, the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, and the balance board. So there is a ton of different ways you can interact with your games depending on what controllers those games support. So that's a brief history of me as a gamer, and of course focusing on the Nintendo aspect of it. But first and foremost, I am a gamer, and I don't care how that game's delivered. If I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to play it. Like I said, I still got my Dreamcast, my Xbox, my PS2, my PC. I'm even thinking about adding a PS4 to my setup. It's just that Nintendo has been part of my life, a big part of my life throughout my history as a gamer, and I wanted to pay respects to that. I also wanted to pay respect to the fact that they always just did their own thing, and they've always tried to innovate. Yeah, they've had some home runs, they've had some ground rule doubles, and they've had some strikeouts. But if you try and innovate, or if you innovate and you take a risk and you fail, I have a lot more respect for you than if you just do what everybody else is doing. You know, with the NES, you had the popularization of home console gaming. You had the standard controller, the Max, the Advantage, the Zapper, the Power Pad, the Power Glove, and the Konami Laser Scope. You know, with the Super Nintendo, you had the first 4-action button controller with bumpers. You know, you had with the N64, the trigger, the analog stick, and the rumble pack. With the Wii, you had backwards compatibility, you had motion control. With the Wii U, the 3DS, 2DS, and DS, you have the asymmetric dual screen touchscreen aspects. You know, and even with the Wii, you kind of had the rebirth of the power pad, so to speak, with the balance board. You know, and that's just, there's so many things in gaming that either Nintendo popularized or they invented. And as an industry as a whole, we owe so much to them. So for those reasons, and for them being such a big part of my life and giving me years and years of enjoyment and entertainment, that's why I wanted to do a Nintendo-specific channel and pay respects to them for everything that they've given us. So if you're interested in all things Nintendo, past, present, and future, you want to check out some cool reviews, check out some cool news, and hopefully some interviews, be sure to like, rate, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. And I hope to see you in the first episode. Take care.